roads, with roads named after generals. Hague Avenue, Kitchener Close, Allenby Drive, the Banner. Older than time, old walls, oh Banner. Buried beneath the crush of hope and houses built since on the Banner. Alabama, Lollipopper, Eeny Meeny, Macadaka, Durdai, Domaraka, Chickalaka, oh Bama. Between the barracks and the chapel, the slag heap and pit head, soap and margarine works, steel mill and tar pit, railway and canal, Long Pond Push, the Bama. Eeny Meeny, Macadaka, Durdai, Domaraka, Chickalaka, Lollipop, Long Pond Push. Bonfires burn on the bomb site. Our stamping ground, hunting ground for cowboys and dreams. The Wild West, outer space, anywhere but where it was. Pentecost and Tabernacle, Backstreet Bethesda, Dante's Inferno, the Steelworks, the Banner, oh Banner. We played there, fought there, went to school and chapel there, accepting it, never questioning where it came from, where it led to. The creature from the Black Lagoon, it came from outer space and landed here. The Banner, a maze, a rat run of back streets, brick alleys, cobbled squares and railway arches, then out into a clearing. The bonfires, the bomb site, the heart of the Victory Estate. junction of Liverpool and Prospect Roads, the edge of the moss, stood the library. 2 bay windows flanking steps in white Portland stone, blackened by dark years of steelworks belched dirty smoke, hung above the town, sulphurous yellow, staining the stone like droppings from an extinct bird, fading in the mist, rolling always from the moss, where folk still clung fast. Houses built on stilts, patrolled by cutthroat pirates with wild, unchained dogs, or old, wizened crows who flung unwary children in black cooking pots, hanging their gnarled and bleached bones on blasted hawthorns as wordless warnings. Keep out, you. Go back. The huddled warmth and blanket of books lay waiting. Light burning behind those 2 grimy boned windows to welcome us home. Free from hard lurking in fevered imagining, rescued from danger. When we were asked what kind of books we wanted, we in a heartbeat clamour at once for wizards, fairies, leprechauns, witches, pirates, ghosts, mysteries to solve, that thrilling frisson of fear we secretly crave to brighten the blank reality of a life whose only prospect was the 8-hour shift, the fiery furnace steel mill, Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego. Books were my ticket, my map for hidden treasure, over the rainbow. The library's closed now. Steelworks gone, school boarded up, the Portland stone cleaned, housing lawyers, wills, probate, conveyancing, duller, safer worlds. Of the rainbow lies buried treasure, and the place you're travelling to is home.
Ba 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 ba.
Trafford, named after the ancient de Trafford family, combines the former market towns of Sale and Altrincham, Stretford, Urmston and Partington, as well as several smaller neighbourhoods, including Old Trafford, where the football and cricket grounds are. There's Dennis Law, painted as a mural on a factory wall. And here's the cricket ball that George Duckworth once smacked for 6 all the way to London. You don't believe it? Ask this boy's grandfather. He was there when he did it. Trafford, just 40 square miles, yet when Chris Fogg was a boy, yes, that's him with the Wyatt Earp hat, there were 20 cinemas there, and Chris reckons he's visited every one. The first to be recorded was the Great American Bioscope, part of a travelling fair at Hale Moss in 1900. Just a minute, isn't that great-grandmama holding onto her hat? She's been enjoying Fred Carno's circus, I shouldn't wonder. And who's that cheeky chappie queuing up to take a peek at what the butler saw? It must be Uncle Cyril. Now there are none. A few remain in different guises. A roundabout, a supermarket, a scrapyard. These one-time palaces of dreams.
The first film I ever saw was Bambi. I must have been 5. My mum and Gran took me. Perhaps it was my birthday. People stamped their feet and started chanting, "We want the film! We want the film!" And a half-eaten bun landed in my Gran's lap, which she wouldn't let me eat. Then the lights went out and it all went still, and I was traumatised. No one had prepared me for this. Suddenly it went from cute bunnies and kinda wobbly, ain't he, to forest fires and the death of Bambi's mom, to loss and separation, metaphors for Hitler's advancing hordes, the need for self-sacrifice. And I thought, if this is cinema, give me real life any time. Disney, America, who needs them? I didn't go again for 2 years. Then, it was another fairy tale, The Wizard of Oz. And wouldn't you know it, just when you thought you knew where you were, Kansas, Aunt Em, Dorothy, Toto, along came a tornado and you were whisked away to Munchkins and Tin Men and Talking Lions and poppy fields where if you fell asleep you never woke up, and a wizard and, well, that's a horse of a different colour. But worse than any of these was the witch who kidnapped Toto and rode on a broomstick, whose green face loomed out of the screen and stared directly at me, just me, no one else. "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too." That was it. I was under the seat in a flash, and that's where I stayed, not coming out till Dorothy clicked her ruby slippers, closed her eyes and said, "There's no place like home. There's no place like home." And we were back in the land of black and white again. TV was safer. For a start, it was in the living room. You could always turn it off. But sometimes it could drive you mad when the vertical hold went and you had to hit the top of the set or watch a person's legs walking on the top of their head. We didn't have one. Pete did though, next door. We'd crowd round every day after school to watch the latest episode of Thunderbirds, The Mysterons, Supercar, Stingray. This is terrible. We're all gonna be killed. Not noticing the fixed grins or ridiculous strings. Then acted out every day in the playground till the following week and the next episode. We spent half our lives speaking in American accents, even as RAF pilots winning the Battle of Britain, or when we were being damned dare, fighting against the Mekong. America was in colour. We were black and white. Then the Beatles came and changed the rules. They grew up on the same streets that we did, spoke with the same accents we had, sang about people we knew, places we remembered, though some have gone and some might change. 25th of June, 1967, 8:54 p.m. The day the Earth stood still. The first live satellite to transmit around the world. The Beatles sang All You Need Is Love at the height of the Vietnam War, while the Klan burned their records on Alabama bonfires.
There's nothing you can see that can't be shown. Nothing you can know that can't be known. Nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need.
North will now present television's general knowledge game of noughts and crosses. Criss, Cross, Quiz. And here's your host, Jeremy Fogg.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Criss Cross Quiz, the game which combines noughts and crosses with general knowledge. All you have to do is answer 3 correct questions to form a line of noughts or crosses to win the game. So let's meet today's contestants.
And your name is?
Chris, I'm 12 years old, from Manchester, and my hobby is cricket.
And you are?
Laila, I'm 13 years old from Quebec City, and my favourite hobby is ice skating.
Well, you know the rules, so let's get on with the game. Chris,
History.
who was the leader of the Gunpowder Plot?
Guy Fawkes.
Correct! Laila,
Geography.
what is the world's longest river?
The Nile.
Correct! Chris,
Quotations.
who said Veni Vidi Vici as he landed on the shores of Britain?
Julius Caesar.
Correct! Laila,
Art.
who painted the Mona Lisa?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Correct!
This is a close contest.
Chris,
Music.
so to win the contest, can you recognise this voice?
When Elvis starts to sing in German, Wooden Heart, I know at once. But tongue-tied on live TV, blurt Harry Belafonte instead. It's so uncool, and I know there's no way I'll live this down or feel Each time I see the sign, Granada Studios, I blew the chance to win on Junior Crisscross Quiz.
I'm afraid that's the wrong answer. Laila, your chance to win the game. Which category would you like?
Literature.
Can you tell me who wrote Oliver Twist?
Charles Dickens.
Is the right answer. Congratulations, you are this week's winner of Crisscross Quiz.
Sei mir gut, sei mir gut, sei mir wie du wirklich sollst, wie du wirklich sollst, 'cause I don't have a home.
Alabama. Alabama. You can see me there now. If you look hard, we all of us carry our past lives with us, like the locks and chains of Marley's ghost. Tethering my imaginary horse to the railings by the schoolyard, I tip my wired-up hat with my Colt 45, blow across its barrel, twirl it once, twice, before dropping it from my fingers in blindfold into my hip-slung holster, scraping off the wanted posters, dead or alive, in case somebody might recognize this stranger who's just blown into town. I scan the scene before moseying down past the sheriff's office to the local saloon to drink sarsaparillas. The coyote cries. I look up. It's Pete from across the street. Or the Cisco Kid as he prefers. And this is his signal. Everyone clears. This town ain't big enough for the both of us. Wyatt against Cisco. Me against Pete. Turn the page. Spin the kaleidoscope. Past the hopscotch, whip and top, skipping rope. The big ship sails down the alley-alley-o. The cowboys and Indians come and they go. Bronco, Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Cheyenne, Wells Fargo, Rawhide, the Virginian, Tenderfoot, Laramie, Wagon Train, fording the rivers, crossing the plain. Desperate to know just how it feels, for once, just for once, to be Jay Silverheels. The faithful companion, the trusted right hand. Yes, Kimosabi, who was that masked man? Mountain man, trapper, staking a claim, forever the loner, the man with no name. With a silver bullet clad entirely in black, I close my eyes and summon them back. There I am again, with a ray gun, space helmet from a cardboard box. Climbing slow motion at the pile of coke stacked in the yard, planting homemade flags, conquering the dark side of the moon. Or again, though years later, as James Dean, hours and hours perfecting that quiff, the curl of the lip, the shrug, the what if, the cocky conviction I'd carry it off, this scrawny, pale-faced northern teen. Saturday morning radio, Uncle Mac's request show. Torchy, the battery boy. The court of King Caractacus was just passing by. Once upon a time there was a little white bull, inchworm, measuring the marigold. I saw a mouse where, there on the stair, Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. In Gilly, Oxenfeth, and Katzenell, and Bowden by the sea. Que sera, whatever will be, will be. Did anyone ever listen to this? Apart from me, I mean, that's obvious. When there was American rock and roll to be had that made you feel good and made you feel bad. On Radio Luxembourg, listened to at night, under the covers with a torch for a light, tuning the pirate frequency that came and then went, but that made you feel free. No one at all at school was impressed when I told them I'd had a special request. For Christopher Hubert, who's 7 today, who high apple pie in the sky hopes I'll play. Like a streak of lightning flashing across the sky, like the swiftest arrow whizzing from a bow, like a mighty cannonball, you'll see him fly. You hear about him everywhere you go. You can buy all these back on DVD now, digitally remastered. They seem less, somehow. The runaway train came down the track. I wonder what happened to Uncle Mac. The time will come when everyone will know the name of Champion, the Wonder Horse. Follow the squirrel-dropping path down towards a low arch beneath a worn stone bridge. Inside, the shade is cool. The air surprisingly fragrant. Sage and leaf mold, downloads of memory. Clawed bird tracks scratched on walls and floor. And at the far end, a hanging curtain of ivy. Dried paper feathers, louvered light. One world to another. The ivy rustles as it parts, whispering close-kept secrets. book in hand, 8 years old. Black smoke rising in a far field. This first day in her new home. Look, she cries, the swallows have come. A high, freewheeling swoop and dive, alighting on the cowshed roof, which overlooks the burning pyres. Or strung out along telegraph wires, like notes on a musical stave, and she is their treble clef. She folds her wings, muscles not yet flexed, heads inside to try what's next. Years later, she sits at her laptop, designing logos. A swallow's curve and dip. Walking across an open field, threaded by footpaths made by generations of women who walked these same ways more than 200 years before, to the flax mill in whose shadow our cottage now sits in the wind's lee, which whips the hair across our faces, tosses sparrows like puffballs from edges as returning fieldfares flock before us, a lone buzzard's mewing cry marking the years, are bearing witness. You cannot stop talking, are caught in a loop of memory, of speculation, all the unsung, unnamed lives who trod this path before us. 2 centuries of walking, alone in silent contemplation, the weary trek from work at week's end, or in company, like today's, as the field unfolds beside us, unwrapping its stories in acorns crunching underfoot. You steady yourself in the mud from last week's rain, holding your hip, already troubling you despite your youth, your mother's and your grandmother's history opening up before you, an inheritance that awaits you down the years, walks just a few steps ahead of us along this muddy track, sticky with leaf mold and memory. You, at a gate crossing the stile to an adjacent field, where a carved wooden figure, a woman mill worker, points the way. Follow her gaze. The seagull behind a tractor, in search of scraps and leavings. All the ghosts walk with you, but no one special by your side. While I, walking this same path as I have done 1,000 times before, seeing it fresh and reborn, rearing up new before you, a hare's startled gaze at the field's shorn stubble, eyes and ears alert, straining, can feel their breath on my neck, and turn my collar to the wind. I am telling you stories, pointing out landmarks, the Flagstown, the mill race, the waving tree, shadows and voices bubbling to the surface around us from the muddied fields, the dark pond where frog spawns swell in the spring, and water boatmen skim the surface like ballerinas on point, as you once were. A kingfisher, dipping low, spears the mirrored sky, pinprick shards of light glinting blue, electric, gone in a blink. Memory burns the retina's back at water's edge, clogged now with rank flags and weeds. A dried old snail draws in its horns. I am seeing my son at 7, 10 and 12 years old, running ahead of me along the track, seeking out kincups and slows and four-leaf clovers and heat, roots out stoats, deer in the copses. The trees are thinning now. The wind tears the leaves from the branches, reveals the teeming crowd of walkers, these shades whose voices drown us out, now sharply etched, watching. So we, back home in the warm, sipping sherry in the silence of our newly renovated front room, the evening closing in around us. Sitting by the window where the door used to be, the only door in this one-up, one-down cottage dug out of the earth for all those families who worked at the mill, along with all the women, all those walkers who knitted the fields with their feet, fields which once were blue, with the shimmer of flax, fibres teased by the retting, to be carted north to Crookham, to be turned into linen or sailcloth, where Nelson's fleet for Trafalgar was coaxed and kitted out, or south to Bridport for hemp, strung between backyard alleyways, looped between wide boulevard rope walks, where all the hangmen's nooses in England, the poor man's friend, were knotted and made. Here, a far-off drop and swing. We look at old photos, study the faces peering from their posed pasts. The workers at the mill gate. The picnic at Pond Field. The children playing on the step by the front door. The window where now we sit. Look out. See them dancing in the dusk. Late season's midges swarming round the light before the year's first frost.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, violette, violette, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, violette à bicyclette. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, violette, violette, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, violette à bicyclette.
We draw metaphoric curtains to keep out the dark. For as yet we do not have any. Our renovations continue. Warming our feet on the underfloor heating, which lies directly on the blue Lias flags, laid directly on the bare earth we discovered when we started excavating the layers and lives of families here before us. Here in their talk, hover in the centuries-old fireplace, where the bricks are so delicate they crumble in your fingers. Voices creaking as we shift a chair. We lift the shard of glass we found from a walled-up window at the back, frosted with patterns of moons and stars. All the ghosts walk with us. Their dreams and hopes rise with them. Their faces crowd the window, looking in, looking out. The room waits, holds its breath. It wants a grandfather clock to fill it with its slow tick, tock, tick, tock. your head lowered, separates himself from the crowd. He takes one small step, his mouth half open, as if framing a question. You, walking, sensing a new presence. Throw your head. You look up. Summer, 1963. Sunday afternoon. I'm 11. For a birthday treat, my mum and dad take me across the canal to Manchester. Bright lights and the pictures. ABC Deansgate, home of Cinerama. Though, to be honest, early Cinerama is a bit dodgy. The screen wraps around you. I'm reminded of curtains, floor to ceiling, horseshoe bay window, the sort my grandma had. 3 separate sections. You could see the joins where they met, with a couple of gaps in between, so the image doesn't quite fit. Still, it was new, modern, like me. The only trouble is, my parents haven't told me which film we'll be seeing. It's a surprise, they say, covering my eyes. Surprise! So that I can't see the poster. Coming to a cinema near you. Such enticement. My excitement growing by the minute, which isn't necessarily a good thing. 2 years before, after I pestered and pleaded for weeks, my mum finally took me to the Gaumont, poshest cinema of all. Grand sweeping staircase, crystal chandeliers, carved Cupid columns, fabric maquette wallpaper, to see the Lone Ranger and Tonto, complete with a real cowboy live on stage, lassoing like a rodeo. Hi-ho, silver, away! I was excited then. So excited, I threw up all over the usherette while queuing for a Kiora. Still, it was 2 years ago. I'm 11 now. Big boy. Going to the grammar school. Finally, the curtains open. Plush green velvet, gold brocaded tassels, and my heart sinks like a stone. Cliff Richard, summer holiday. Oh, I can't believe it. My parents think they're being withered, but they're so missing the mark. 2 weeks before, in a tent on Urmston Show on Chatham Park, where every Saturday I play football, the Beatles had played. It cost 12 and 6. That's 5 weeks pocket money. I couldn't afford it, so Pete went though, next door. His favourite bit, when John sang, "She loves you, shit, shit, shit." Cliff Richard, he's so lame, so wet, so safe. And what's even worse, when the picture starts, it's in black and white. Black and white. Still, much as I hate Cliff, I love the cinema more. So I sink back low into my seat, suck my Kiora through a straw, and drown deep in the warm, luxurious waters of Cinerama. Then, looming out of the grey, omnipresent monochrome up there on the screen, the bleached out cityscape, bomb sites and demolition sites I walk through every day, suddenly there appears a big, bright, red double-decker bus. At first I think my eyes must be playing tricks, that they're seeing only what they want to see. But no, there it is, colour after colour, shade upon shade, the whole rainbow spectrum spreading across the screen. Magic marker, child's colouring book, a perfect pristine tin of Winsor & Newton paints, a dazzling red double-decker bus transporting me to a future that belongs only to me. I tune out Cliff, imagining instead a different song with different words, sung in hard northern voices, in accents I can understand, blazing a trail through landscapes I can truly call my own. This imagined other version of myself strides along beside me towards a brand new dawn.
Two of us lifting latches, burning matches on the run. You and me sending postcards, writing letters on our way back home. On our way home, on our way home, coming home.
stroke his muzzle, give him some sugar. It's time to let you go, boy, I whisper. It's time to take our separate ways. He nods his head, nuzzles me, neighs, before galloping off into the unimagined night. The Bama, the bomb site, bulldozers, giant crabs with iron jaws and steel teeth gouge the guts and entrails, chew the coke and concrete, spit the steel and slag heaps into huge storm drains, staunching wounds and gashes, stitching scars and lacerations, leaving multicolored Legoland to heal the nation, seize the future, airbrushing history. But look closer now and see, we're still there. Shadows, ghosts, palimpsests shimmering. Wyatt and Cisco, Pete and me, all of us, the whole posse, the victory, the Bama. Oh, Bama, ground zero. In the ashes of the bonfires, beneath the ruins far below, a horse lies sleeping, flanks like bellows heaving, expanding